First, My Hero, then Jujutsu Kaisen, and The Boys, now Chainsaw Man. I'm ruined. I have nothing left except Invincible. But the day is finally upon us where I get to talk about the Chainsaw Man movie, the Reze arc. And when I sat down in the movie theater to watch this movie, I came out a different man. The first hour of this movie is really, really good. It's probably my favorite part of the movie. And it has the best scene in my opinion in the entire movie, which of course it's the pool scene. And I'm going to touch on a little bit later on in this video. But that second part, that felt like a psychedelic episode. It felt like I came out of that movie seeing colors. This movie is the best anime movie that I've ever seen. And this is definitely better than Demon Slayer, without a shadow of a doubt. This movie is in my top 10. It might even be in my top 5. But enough, yeah. Let's just hop right into it. We see Denji walk in this creepy alleyway, and it's a dream. He even says it himself, like, damn, I keep having the same damn dream. Then we hear Pochita yell out to Denji to get his attention. And then there's like this singular door. So Denji's like, oh shit, like Pochita has to be there, right? And so then Denji walks closer to the door, and then Pochita's like, no, don't open the door. Never open this door. Denji wakes up from his dream, and in the first thing in the morning, he gets rocked by Power. Fast forward, and we see Makima very much sensually touching Power's horns. And hey, I don't mind. The reason her horns are like that, and the reason why she's so strong, is because she has too much blood in her system. So now she needs to be drained by Makima. So in the meantime, Denji needs a substitute partner, and it's none other than Beam himself, the MVP of the whole movie. Beam is a shark fiend, and he keeps referring to Denji as Lord Chainsaw. In Makima's words, he's too ferocious to even be talked to, but he'll be a good boy for Denji and obey him. Denji's not impressed at all. He actually doesn't want to do any of this actually, but Makima makes him a deal. Since we have a day off, we can go on a date. Oh yeah, we in there. He sees Makima. Makima looks good, but then he asks Makima what they're gonna do. Their plan is to go on a movie marathon. Now I want to ask y'all a question. How do y'all feel about like first dates that are movies? Because I don't really mind them because I'm introverted and I love movies, but I've always wondered, like, from other people's perspectives, like, how do y'all feel about them? They watch their action slop, their romantic slop, their horror slop, all the slop you could imagine, and after every movie, Makima starts criticizing these movies, and it's like, you're the one going to watch these. You're the one paying your hard-working money to watch more than 10 movies in a night. Imagine you spend the money from your hard-working 9-to-5 or the money that you got from your birthday from your grandparents, and you spent it all watching movies. If I were you, I would look in the mirror and question yourself. Then she walks up to her and is like, maybe I just don't understand movies, Makima. And then she goes on to say, like, well, I only enjoy like 1 out of every 10 movies that I watch. Speaking of the 1 out of 10 movie, they actually end up finding it, and both of them end up crying in the movie theaters. Now I can't tell y'all why Makima cries, but I can definitely tell you why Denji cries. He needs a maternal figure bad. He needs a mother. He just needs human connection. He needs someone that can actually help him regulate his emotions and help him go about life without his hormones kicking in every 30 seconds. They talk about how good the movie was, and Makima was like, man, that movie alone was worth every ticket. Maybe for you, but for me, the aching pain that's coming from my wallet, it won't recover. Denji then goes on to ask this pick-me question, and he's like, Makima, do I have a heart? My bad, Denji, I'm sorry. You've been through so much and I'm over here making fun of you. It's just my bad, gang. Makima does another good old manipulation tactic and goes right up to Denji's chest to hear his heartbeat to see if he has a heart. And of course he does. She walks away without saying goodbye. Okay, I guess. Denji's walking through the streets, happy to know that he has a heart, happy enough to where he even donates too. He eats a flower in the process, but we know he's on that side of the spectrum. Makima's on Denji's mind all the time, and he even wants Makima to be his girlfriend. He even says that his heart only belongs to her, even though he's touched another woman's biddies, even though he made out with another woman that ultimately threw up in his mouth. We cut to Denji trying to get out of the rain, and he goes into this ancient fossil that y'all probably never heard of, and it's called a phone booth. And this is where people had to walk in and flip through a book, and they had to have physical currency on them, coins, pennies, quarters, to then pay to get a phone call. A random girl runs into the phone booth and then starts looking at Denji and then laughs at him and then cries, and just a wide range of emotions start happening. Then she says, I'm sorry, you just reminded me of my dog. Denji decides to show her a nice little magic trick of him spitting up the flower that he ate earlier, and it actually even made her smile a little bit, and actually gave him the look that, hey, I'm gonna have your kids one day and you're gonna have to pay 18 years of child support. Obviously this is Reze, and she invites him out to her workplace to have some coffee. And Reze has this nice little route that she takes to work that obviously isn't gonna come back and have one of the most heartbreaking scenes in the entire movie. Bro, you've already seen the movie. We know how this goes down, and you're gonna gonna relive that pain with me. You get that? Denji's already here waiting for her, and they actually have a great time with each other. And Reze touches Denji, and Denji's sitting here like, wait, oh my god, she touched me. Does she actually like me? Oh my god. And I can't blame Denji, because he's just like me for real. As a 15-year-old boy, anytime a girl came into your proximity and was even near you, let alone touch you, because you would have thought that that girl was into you. And so it makes sense for someone like Denji to think that way, because again, he has not had a normal interaction with human beings his entire life, especially with women. We then see Aki trying to work with the Angel Devil, but he's really lazy, and Aki's not trying to play any of those games right now because he knows there's an expedition on the Gun Devil that's about to come up, so he's trying to defeat as many powerful devils as he can. Even though the Angel Devil is so lazy, he's actually the strongest in the Special Division group. The weapon that Aki has, that every time he uses it, it siphons off his lifespan. Well, guess what? The Angel Devil actually created that by, well, siphoning other people's lifespans. Makima's solution to all of this is just to be a LARPer, pretend to be his friend, and go on ahead about your life. But we know that Aki's LARPing skills is not that good, because in the next scene, he just does not like the Angel Devil at all. Especially after what the Angel Devil said about how humans deserve to die and he's devil first. Definitely not helping his case at all. Denji's outside of the cafe and he's wondering to himself like, why am I back here? My body belongs to Makima. Well, slow your roll, bud, because the moment you walk into this door, your whole life's about to change. And it changes by Reze finding out that you've never been to school and her asking you if you want to go break into a school at night. In other words, Denji, she is asking you out. I know that's a hard concept for you to understand, but it was for me too. Denji and Reze successfully break the law and trespass and enter the school on their vibes, having fun. Rize's being a teacher, Denji's being a student, sitting in class, answering questions. And I know I'm not the only one that hated school, because I know for a fact you that's watching this video hate school. I just hated the idea of just sitting in class at a desk and listening to someone yap about stuff I would never use. Like once math started introducing letters, I was done. Like why is there letters in my math? Like I don't like this. Please take it away from me. Reze cannot wrap her head around the fact that Denji has never been to school, and Denji's like, oh, it's okay. Like the place that I'm working at gives me housing, gives me a mattress, a little bit of food to eat, and minimum wage. This man is living the bare minimum. Like those are the essential things that you just have in everyday life, and he is just happy to have that. After using his 2 brain cells to think, Denji needs a little bit of a break because his head is starting to overheat. Luckily enough, Reze has an idea that will help him cool him off, and that idea alone leads us to the pool scene.
君は学校行ってないだろ16歳のくせによ
レゼとなる学校行きたかったかななんか楽しそうだし
行っちゃいますか教えてあげるデンジ君の知らないことできないこと私が全部教えてあげる私がデンジ君を幸せにしてあげる
The pool scene. Probably the best directed scene that I've ever seen in an anime, and definitely just in media in general. Like Fujimoto's him, bro. Like his manga is so cinematic, and with how he panels his stuff and what he does, it only made sense that if you wanted an anime movie, you would go to Chainsaw Man and his work, because anything that he does, it is cinematic as hell. And when I watched this moment for the first time, I was genuinely smiling in the theater watching 2 characters have an intimate moment, because I just enjoyed both of these characters that much. And Denji as a main character is so relatable, because honestly, he's just a guy that's just trying to go on about his life and trying to do it in the best way possible without knowing what to do. And we've all been there before. We don't know what to do. And like I said before, he just needs human connection. He needs his people. He needs people that actually care about him and will actually take care of him. And you know, I like the foreshadowing of the spider and the butterfly getting caught in the net. You know what I'm saying? W foreshadowing, you know, maybe on the nose a little bit, but it's cool. And don't worry, I'll get to Reze later on in this video, because she's a complex character and she needs her own little time for me to talk about her, because she just has a lot of things going on for her, and I just love that about her, even though she does some questionable things. We see them sitting in a classroom, and Reze poses a very introspective question to Denji. Do you want to be the country mouse or the city mouse? It's one of Aesop's fables, and it's a story about a country mouse that is pretty much broke and does not have much going on for him, but overall he is fine with that because he knows that he gets to live in peace and safety. Whereas the city mouse is the complete opposite, where they have vibes. lives. They living it up, but at the cost of their safety. You know, they have the wealth accompanied by fear. So the question basically asks, how do you want to live your life? And so for Reze, she wants to be the country mouse, and Angel even says the same thing to Aki when he posed the question to him. But there's also someone later on in the movie that also answers this question in a really weird way, and I think y'all know who it is. Denji, of course, picks the city mouse because what else would he pick? Reze is like, you know what, that's fine. I'm gonna teach you the ways of what it's like to be the country mouse and ask him out to a festival. Of course, Denji says yes. So this is like the actual date that is a date, not whatever this is, because I don't know what this is. Reze is gonna go use the restroom and freshen up a little bit, and I really want you to lock in real quick because this moment that's about to come up is about to give us a little bit of a hint of the insanity that we're about to experience in the second part of this movie. After finishing up, Reze looks a little spooked out by what's going on outside, and that's because what's going on outside is a category 5 forming on the top of her head. Somehow that's the least of her worries because there's a random guy walking around in this school, and I don't know how he's walking like this in boots, let alone wet boots at that. Like, does that not feel uncomfortable to you? Now, I can't say for some reason because I do know the reason why he's here, because he got introduced earlier on in the movie. Now, I didn't mention him because he's gonna get cooked here in a few minutes. On the other side of things, Denji is thinking about all the women he has encountered up until this point, and the way that they're depicting of what's going on inside of Denji's mind is actually diabolical, bro. I think this is a good time to check back on Reze. Oh, she's still running for her life. Denji is conflicted right now because currently he's in love with 2 women, and while he's thinking about all these things, Reze is over here running for her life. Denji, my boy, my slime, my schlatt, I understand that you're fantasizing about all these women, even though one of them is a guy, but have you not thought to yourself as to why it's taking Reze so long to come back? Like, have you just not thought to yourself like, hey, maybe I should check up on her? Reze runs onto the roof and is now cornered by this guy, and she asks why is he doing all this and saying all these terrible things, and he's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna put your head on a platter for Chainsaw. And as soon as she hears Chainsaw, she knows what's up, and she just starts tweaking out, like her eyes just start twitching. This guy starts to run at her, and then Reze does the most performative scream I've ever seen in an anime, and it leads to this.
That don't work. There's no way out of this. You're done.
Honestly, I don't know what I just seen there, because this reminded me of when Batman came out of the tunnel and absolutely beat the brakes off of that one guy. Yo, she is choking this guy out with a straight face and singing in Russian. Bro, she is a problem. After killing the guy, she gets up and starts talking to the Drain, and the Drain is the Typhoon Devil, and they both know each other. And Reze is like, well, you're the one that trapped us in the school, weren't you? And obviously the Typhoon Devil is like, hey, my bad, gang. I ain't know you was here. It was a mistake. Reze is gonna let the Typhoon Devil slide, but under one condition, that she obeys her. And so one of the first things that she has the Typhoon Devil do is summon in a plane, a actual aircraft, to come here and dispose of the body. Hey, you know what, go ahead. If you want to have an American Airlines in your back pocket to help dispose of a body, go for it. Reze comes back and meets up with Denji after killing a man and disposing his body in an aircraft like nothing happened. They then finally go to that festival that they were talking about, and they're enjoying their time, having fun, eating cotton candy, and it's just beautiful. Well, not for long. Yeah, I think it's time for us to get to the second half of this movie, because it's been months since I last watched this, so I had to rewatch this again. And so when I watched the second half of this movie, I was again lost. So I'm gonna help refresh y'all's memory a little bit of what happened. Denji and Reze are at this secluded spot and talking to each other, and Reze is still concerned about the situation Denji is in because he's never been to school and he's currently risking his life as a devil hunter. And weirdly enough, she comes up with this idea of running away together with Denji out of nowhere. And then not only that, she basically says, I love you to Denji. I'm not gonna lie to you, we just watched one of the best manipulation performances I've ever seen. She basically love bombed him in front of our eyes. But Denji hesitates, and it's not because he doesn't like Reze. If anything, he does. The problem is that he's finally building something, and he's finally growing with the people around him like Aki and Power, and so he's finally living kind of a normal life. Reze comes up to this conclusion that most girls do sometimes for whatever reason, and just says, oh, it must be someone else then. You like someone else. After saying that, she goes in and kisses Denji, and for some reason she has Denji's tongue. Is it weird that I kind of like? Denji's trying his best to survive, but it just doesn't matter. She's just cutting him up, and she goes in for another kiss, and yeah, it's just not looking good for him. She's about to stab him in the heart. MVP Beam comes out of nowhere and saves Denji, and he then says, well, I should have recognized that smell anywhere because that is the bomb devil. Reze's transformation in character design as she turns into a devil is so cool. Fujimoto, I need more. I want more. Please feed me. Beam is getting speed bliss his entire time, and he decides to transform partially, and you think to yourself like, okay, he can finally keep up a little bit, maybe he can do something. No, he doesn't. A group of fighter characters show up just so they can show off their animation and to show off how cool Reze is and her powers. Beam got away though while Reze was distracted. Beam finds Aki asking for help, saying that the bomb devil works for the gun devil, and Aki actually catches that and says, wait, like, how do you know that? Beam says he can't say anything because he promised Makima that he wouldn't, and so that's a big glaring red flag to Aki because he's wondering as to why Makima is even connected to all of this. All that's gonna have to wait though because Reze shows up, so now Aki needs to take Denji away. These guys are gonna try to distract Reze by putting mold in her stomach, and it kind of does something, but Reze does something kind of cool where she just takes off her head and then picks it up and throws it like a grenade and then says boom, and then she just regens her whole body. I feel bad for bro here because Reze's old body comes running at him and gives him a hug and then explodes. He actually survives somehow, and he's about to get bodied by Reze, but luckily enough someone else had a contract with Khan and made her eat Reze. But for whatever reason, this fox devil is so useless. You are absolutely worthless because anytime this fox eats a devil, she just leaves and disappears, and then she'll end the contract with you. Like, what? Reze jumps in front of the car while holding two heads and is like, hey, just give me Denji, bro. I just wiped out a whole division without dropping a sweat. Aki just drives away. He just doesn't care. Reze instantly catches up to the car and shows up, but she's not the only one to show up either. Violence Fiend also is there too. Violence Fiend realizes that the kick that he went all out with got instantly blocked, and he's like, hey, Kobanai, we gotta get the hell up out of here. This is a different type of being that we're fighting up against. Reze of course catches up, but it's about that time that Denji finally wakes up, and Denji finally realizes that all the women that he's ever encountered don't even care about his heart. They only care about his chainsaw heart. Not gonna lie, that made me really sad when I heard that. Denji declares that I'm only here for Makima. That's my real true love. And then Reze hears that and he's like, wait, Makima? Then there was no point of us even running away to begin with. It seems like Reze knows who Makima is for whatever reason. Maybe they had beef back in the past. And Denji's talking that talk. He's over here saying, I'm gonna take you in, Reze. And Reze is also doing the same thing. She's like, hey, come a little bit closer. I'm gonna show you how devils really fight. And round one begins.
I just want somebody to jiggle my ball.
Well, so much for that. Bro, she's causing destruction on the level of an Avengers threat, bro. This is not cool, bro. You know what is cool though? Aki hiding amongst the dead and actually cutting off her arm. Now, this isn't really an ideal situation for Aki because he can only see the future by like 1 second. So if he messes up, he's dead. But before that can happen, the Violence Fiend saves Aki. Things are not looking so good. Typhoon Devil showed up and it looks like a baby for whatever reason. That is just hilarious to me. But on the brighter side of things, we fed Denji some blood. Now, the only problem is how the hell are we going to take down Reze? Because we either let her kill everybody in the vicinity and kill thousands of civilians, or we just kill her. The problem with that is that Denji is not capable of either of those things. And looking at my box of ideas, it's looking pretty damn empty. So we asked Beam about Chainsaw Devil's powers and how he can use them. Denji can detach his chainsaws and swing around like he's Spider-Man and use them as traversal movement. Now, does Denji use these chainsaws in a creative fashion? Well, not yet at least. But Denji, in a Denji fashion, doesn't use them in that way. He decides to force Beam to transform fully into a shark and use the chains to hold him on like a horse. I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty cool. So forget about it. We ball. Let the dynamic duo be, because they end up pulling off the impossible in this fight. Denji goes in with Beam and he's flying through the Typhoon Devil's power, and it's absolutely insane what I'm seeing from the animation and what's going on. It's a little jarring watching Beam with his little shark legs crawling across buildings and stuff. It's a little weird. I don't know how any of this is actually working, but it's working. Somehow, some way, Denji was actually able to get a clean hit on Reze to the point to where Typhoon Devil had to spit blood at Reze for her to heal. And while that's going on, Aki and Angel Devil are struggling to hold on because they just don't belong here at all. It's getting so dangerous that the Angel Devil wants Aki to let go of him, but Aki doesn't do that. He actually ends up touching Angel Devil directly, cutting his lifespan by 2 months. Each and every moment that passes, we just get closer and closer to it. You know how I said at the beginning of this video that in the second half of this movie, all you're gonna end up seeing by the end of it is just colors? Well, we're here. And if anything, you probably thought that we were already there. Well, no, we are actually in the thick thick of it right now. Like, I don't know what I'm looking at this point, because I'm just watching Denji just fling Beam around, and then out of nowhere he gets thrown into a building, and then next thing you know, he's getting perception blitzed. Then not only that, Reze's over here fighting him in the middle of her explosions. Like, oh my god, bro, like my brain hurts. Like, what were these animators on when they were making this? Denji, please do something, bro. Reze is in your butt right now. She is working you, bro. Do something. Oh, he actually is gonna do something. He's gonna go after the Typhoon Devil. Pretty good plan. We finally are starting to do something here. I think you already know how cool this scene is and how good this movie already is and how much I've already been glazing it. But bro, these people actually put their heart and soul into this masterpiece. Denji flies into the tornado and he starts cutting up this baby. He then calls upon Beam to where they start swimming through the tornado, and then it leads to one of the best frames in the entire movie where they use the iconic lime green splash that you see on Fujimoto's covers. Just absolute cinema right there, honestly. Reze spots them swimming through the blood and ends up spamming landmines. Beam dodges them, but Reze grabs Denji by his chains and flings him up into the air. Bro, she has so much aura, bro. She pops out the blood with one finger and then drops a nuke on Denji's head. And then every time she does that, she's like, boom. Like, that is just so cool, bro. Back to what we were talking about. Denji's getting flung around and he's getting hit with rainbow explosives all over the place. Reze just goes ahead and just throws a rocket at Denji, but Beam comes in and saves him. But it might have been a pretty big mistake though for him. Bro, Beam, you are a real one for that. Like I said, you are the MVP, bro. Denji gets back up and Reze's just tired of all this. Like, why do you keep getting back up, bro? Can I just kill you and just take your heart, please? She then blows him away onto this dock, and then Denji gets up saying like, bro, wouldn't it just be easier if you had just killed me when we had first met? Hey, stay with me now, because we'll definitely talk about why Reze didn't kill Denji when they first met and just talk about Reze as a whole. Denji and Reze have one last round for the one time, and Denji actually starts moving kind of different. He starts dodging all the explosions, and his chains are actually all over the place, and that's because he finally used his chains in a creative manner, so much so that when Reze was about to use her explosions, he caught her in a trap and actually made her go into the water with him, because he knows for a fact that she can't use her explosions in water. It's actually pretty smart from this man. They both fall into the water as the music plays, and it looks like Reze finally gave up and just gave into Denji as they float to the bottom. Reze wakes up next to Denji, and Denji starts talking to Reze about how he won't turn her in and how that would just leave a bad taste in his mouth. Reze gets back up and is like, bro, I can still kill you right now. Denji's like, hey, if I get killed by a beautiful woman, I wouldn't mind at all. As she's about to run away, Denji says, can we run away together? But there's a dilemma to this, because Reze ended up killing thousands trying to get to Denji's heart, and so that means that Denji has to take her in. But Denji knows that he's not supposed to like her, but he still does. Denji then mentions the moment that Reze ended up teaching him how to swim and how that meant something. She then runs to Denji and gives him a hug, and then she goes in for a kiss. Oh my bad, she broke his neck. I thought she kissed him. Reze starts to walk away again, but the offer still stands, and Denji says, I'll be waiting at the cafe for her. We see Denji getting ready to leave his life behind, and then we actually get some lore about Reze and how she was a Russian spy basically, and how she was just turned into a super soldier to capture the chainsaw heart. I think it's about time that I finally talk about Reze now. Reze is a very complex character, and I do truly think that she cared about Denji in a lot of ways. Now, it's a little bit weird because when we first meet her, she was holding on to her pin, if y'all didn't realize that, because that meant that she was going to murk this man in a telephone booth. But she stopped because she ended up seeing that Denji was just this dumb goofball and she couldn't actually do it, because yes, it did remind her of her dog, but in a good way. And it goes back to the pool scene where both Denji and Reze had an intimate moment with each other, and I do think that was one of the only times where Reze got to be herself, because more than likely she was probably just a Russian spy going out doing missions and killing people. And you can even tell when she killed that guy on top of the roof, she didn't enjoy that. She doesn't enjoy killing people. She even says it throughout the entire time that she's going on this massacre spree, that she doesn't want to do it. But again, it doesn't justify the rest of her actions either, because even though she did go on this killing spree, she does manipulate Denji and use him. I said it earlier, she was out here love bombing him. But I do think even Reze herself felt bad about doing those things. But I also do think the one thing that genuinely caught her by surprise is that Denji actually wanted to run away with her. And I think that was the moment that she truly thought there was a moment that she could actually be free and become that country mouse that she always wanted. But I think that's what ultimately makes these last moments so sad. I want every single one of us to gather around and hold each other's hands, because we're about to experience pain once more.
Don't let me leave, Murph. Don't let me leave, Murph! No! 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 No!
Yeah, Makima showed up, and she starts talking about like how she helped her friend out in the farmlands or whatever, and was like, yeah, I just take out all the rats and kill them, and it was calming. And I have a feeling that she's the one that sends out the dogs and kills them. I don't know, you know, but I think we know where this is going.
Denji, I wonder why I didn't kill you the first time we met. You know, to be honest, I never had the chance to go to school either.
Look, I know I shouldn't still like you, but I do. I guess that's one of the downsides of having a heart. You can tell yourself what we had was a lie, but some of it was real, like that swimming lesson. I'll wait for you at the cafe! I'll be there for lunch, okay? You better come! Reze! Wait! Don't go! Everybody's after my chainsaw heart! What about my heart? Denji's heart! Does nobody want that?
Yeah, I'm praying to God that that edit did not get copyrighted. If this is still in here, then it didn't. But yeah, that's the end of that shit. I'm done. I can't experience more pain anymore. I'm done.